Welcome to the second session of SAP FICO course. In this session we will learn about enterprise structure and financial accounting global settings. Enterprise structure is a portrayal of an enterprise hierarchy, organizational structure that represents an enterprise in SAP system. Enterprise structure is the organizational structure that represents an enterprise in SAP system. It basically consists of some organizational units which are for legal reasons or for specific business related reasons. Organization unit required to manage the SAP system such as company code, business area, plants, profit center, and etc. Organizational units handles specific business functions. As we can see in the diagram, company or group company, company code, business areas are represented as organizational units in SAP system. Now, to have the enterprise structure defined in the SAP system, you need to do the settings for the same. We have to define the company code, and assign the company to the company code. Then we have to define the business area, credit control area, and assign the credit control area to the company code. Now, what does these terms basically means? Let's discuss them in detail. Company is the smallest organizational unit for which individual financial statements can be drawn up according to the relevant commercial law. Group unit or group companies in SAP is called company. A company can consist of one or more codes, company codes. All company codes within a company must use the same chart of account and the same fiscal year. Basically, a group have number of legal entities with them. For example, if we talk about Pepsi have got more than 100 legal entities all around the world. These all entities, if taken up in an umbrella, is termed as group companies, and in a single term we define that as a company in SAP, or we can say group companies. So you can assign all those hundreds of company legal entities to the company, and you can have the group reporting, group financial statements as well with the help of the company. All the company codes within a company must use the same chart of account as already said, and must have the same fiscal year so as to have the financial statement generated. Company code, the smallest organizational unit of financial accounting for which a complete self-contained set of accounts can be drawn up for purpose of external reporting. This includes recording of all relevant transactions and generating all supporting documents required for financial statements. A company code is a 4-character alphanumeric code. In simple terms, a company code is the legal entity for which financial statements are generated. For example, if we talk about Pepsi LLC, it is basically an entity, and the same entity is referred to as a company code in SAP. And without the help of the company code or the legal entities, you cannot have your financial statements, or for that matter any other reports which is related to finance and accounts. As we already know in the practical part as well, you need to file your various legal requirements or external reportings on the basis of the legal entity. The same legal entity is represented as company code in SAP system, and the company code is always been created or defined by the FI consultant in SAP system. So we're doing that after discussing all these topics one by one, and then we'll be looking after these practical things in the SAP system, how we do that. Business area, an organizational unit of financial accounting that represents a separate area of operations or responsibilities within an organization, and to which value changes recorded in financial accounting can be allocated. You can create your financial statements as per the business areas, and you can use these statements for various internal reporting purposes. Now, business area is more of used in external segment reporting. Now what does this mean, external segment reporting? For example, there is an entity and it is in different product lines, and the management wants the reports, the financial statements, the revenues for every product line. So you define that particular product line as a business area in SAP system, and with the help of that you can generate financial statements on the base for that particular product lines on the basis of the business areas. If we take the another scenario, if there is any manufacturing entity and they have got number of plants all around the country or out of the country, you can name those plant as business area, and you can have plant wise reporting of financial statement and other external reporting as well with the help of business area. So business area is a very important part, very important concept which can be used over and above the company code. Business area will not be assigned to any company code, mind it. You cannot assign a business area to a particular company code. It is at a client level. Credit control area. Credit control area is an organizational entity which grants and monitors a credit limit for customers. A credit control area can include one or more company codes. This is used either for payment on account to credit to these payments, or where you did not enter a credit control area, the system could not determine the credit limits. More or less, in general, it means that you put a credit tolerance for your customers, and beyond that tolerance you cannot make a sale, a credit sale to them. A credit control area can be linked to many company codes, means one particular credit control area can be assigned to number of entities, but a particular entity or a company code can be linked only to one credit control area. You cannot have more than one credit control area for one particular company code. A credit control area is basically a 4-character alphanumeric code. You cannot have a more than 4-character code in SAP system. So once you create the credit control area, you have to assign that to the company code so that the relationship or the linkages can be settled with them, with the company code. Now, so this has been done as a part of enterprise structure, and in a while we will be doing these in the SAP system once we will be over with the discussion about financial accounting global setting as well. Now moving up to the next part is the financial accounting global settings. In account and finance, you must know that all the financial reportings are done on the basis of the fiscal year. So there are certain settings which we need to do. As we can see on the screen, we need to define the fiscal year variant. We need to define the posting period variants, the field status variant, tolerance groups for users, assign the user to the tolerance groups, and then assigning all the above variants which we assigned, created or defined above to the company code. Now let's discuss one by one what these all are about. Defining the fiscal year variant. The fiscal year variant is used to define the fiscal year. You must have a fiscal year which is to be used for your company code. To do this, you must define the appropriate fiscal year. Now you can see the steps for those are basically, first is to define the fiscal year variant, and then we assign that fiscal year variant to the company code so as to have a linkages with them. Now to elaborate further, the fiscal year variant is very important so as to determine fiscal year. A fiscal year basically is a period of 12 months where months are referred as periods for which the company produces the financial statements. In SAP, a fiscal year can be a calendar year or a fiscal from April to March, or for that matter any other year, maybe from October to September or from July to June, because it's a universal software which is used all around the world. So you never know which country can have a different year with them. So that is why this diversification is available as you want. Fiscal year determines the number of posting periods which are used to assign the business transactions. So you define a variant. On the basis of that variant, the system decides what fiscal year the system would be taking up. So that is what we will be doing over here. A fiscal year variant can be created with 2-character alphanumeric code. Posting period variant. A period within a fiscal year for which transaction figures are updated. Every transaction that is posted is assigned to a particular posting period. Each company code refers to exactly one posting period variant. The steps are basically to define the posting period variant, then we open and close the posting period, we assign the posting period variant to the company code. Now, what is a posting period? A posting period is a period in which you are posting a transaction. For example, if I am in the month of October, basically I would be doing the transactions and will be posting the transactions in the month of October. So that period October is the period the posting is done. Now there is a open and close posting period, which means that which period, which months you want the posting should be closed and nobody could be able to do any transactions in that particular period can be defined, and which posting will be available for transactions to be done. That will be taken care in this posting period variant part. Now another one thing is SAP basically allows a maximum of 16 posting period each financial year. However, as we know, a fiscal year consists of 12 periods, but SAP provides you 16 periods. Why? 12 out of 16, 12 comprises of regular posting period, which we as we know are 12 in a fiscal year, and 4 special posting periods are provided, which are used at the time of tax adjustments, audit postings, any other adjustments at the time of finalization of balance of financial statements. And these special periods are used when all the normal posting periods are closed for adjustments. So that is it. It is not used for a normal day-to-day businesses at all. For normal day-to-day business, we use the 12 regular posting periods. Field status variant. A field status variant groups together several field status groups. The field status group specifies which fields to be required, optional or suppressed. For example, in practical life, there are different nature of business transactions that take place in a day in an organization. There could be purchase of raw material, purchase of semi-finished goods, purchase of asset, purchase of services, making payments to the vendors for the purchases. Then again there could be cash sales, credit sales, cash recovered from customers, or payment received from customers. There could be purchase of assets, there could be sale of asset, retirement of asset, scrap of assets. There could be expenses payment, advance payment, provisions. A lot of different number of business transactions take place. So all these different business transactions, the nature of business transactions, they require different fields to be mandatory, required or optional. For example, if you are purchasing material, you must be looking forward to fill the quantity in that. How much quantity which are you purchasing? So you must be looking for a quantity filled in the business transaction, so that you can fill the quantity over there. So that is why for that particular business nature of business transaction, we make the quantity filled as a required or a mandatory part, so that the quantity has to be taken up, and in the reports later on we can find out how much quantity has been received against that particular material. In the same way, when you do different other transactions, at times you fill the text so as to for certain clarifications, and at times you want to skip those things. So those text field is kept as optional. If you wish, you can fill it. If you don't wish, you can leave it. Now the next example could be, when you make payment to the vendors, do you need to update the quantity field? No. So what you can do, you can hide the quantity field at the time of vendor payment, because that is not required there. So what you do, you suppress that particular quantity filled in the vendor payment transaction. That is again a different nature of transaction. So nature of transactions varies accordingly, the fields requirement varies, which are to be required, optional or suppressed. So we'll be seeing that once we will be doing the transactions in the SAP, which will give you a better clarification about how these fields works and how we can make those things required, optional or suppressed. So we'll be looking after how we can define the fiscal year variant, and then we're looking after how we can assign the fiscal year variant to the company code. The next part is tolerance for the users. Now, with reference to the key, the tolerance for entry of document and granting of cash discount can be determined for all the employees of the groups for payment settlement. To elaborate, basically tolerance means a limit, a amount limit on the users have been put up. These limits could be the maximum amount an employee can post in a document, means a maximum amount transaction, a business transaction maximum amount which a user or an employee can post, a maximum amount per line item in a customer or a vendor account, a maximum cash discount percentage a particular user can grant, and the maximum payment differences for the employee, what he can make. We'll discuss when we'll be doing this particular customization how these things can be taken up and how we customize the tolerance for the users. So we create this tolerance on the basis of these things. We create the tolerance for the users and we define the tolerance groups to the user later on, so as to cover this. So as we discussed the enterprise structure and the financial accounting global setting, now we will take up in the SAP system how these things, these configurations and customizations takes place in the system. As you can check in the screen, an enterprise structure, you can see the company and the company code and the business area. A group can have number of legal entities, means a number of company codes, and all together is termed as a group company. Over and above that, you can have a simplified, diversified reports on the basis of business area within a legal entities. So we'll be defining these things in the SAP system, how we configure these part in the SAP part. Let's log in the SAP system. As we can log in, we can check. So you can see this screen where there is a client, and in that particular client we will be working. Client is basically, you can say, as a self-contained unit in SAP system with separate master records and its own set of tables. So a client has got the highest level of SAP system hierarchy. So whenever we work on a particular client. There could be different clients. One is a development client, another could be a quality client, and another would be a live system, live client on which all the business runs. So in development client we do all the customization and configurations, and later on we move those customization and configurations with the basis of a request to the quality, and we do the testing, and if everything is okay and fine, then we move those particular configuration customizations to the live system. So right now we'll be doing these customization and we'll see how those requests are created and can be moved. So we'll be putting up the user ID over here and then the password, and now entering. This will take us to the login screen of SAP system. We can see SAP Easy Access. Now to do the configurations, there is a separate transaction code which we have to fill it over here. You can see the screen over here. You have to, there are two wayouts of working in SAP. One is a shortcut that is termed as transaction code, which is basically a 4-digit code by which, if you remember, by which you can directly go to that main screen of configuration and can do the configurations. Otherwise, the second option is going through the path. So we'll be going through the path. The transaction is SPRO. Now click on enter. If you enter, it will take you to the next screen. You can see the customizing execute project. Over here you can see the SAP reference IMG. IMG basically refers to the implementation guide, and this is where all the configurations take place. Now click on this particular screen, on the particular tab. If you can see, the next screen comes up, and this includes the configuration path for each and every module in SAP, whether it is financial accounting or controlling, or it may be for sales and distribution module, or material management module, or plant management, or quality management, or for that matter any other module. So we'll be moving up now is the enterprise structure. We have to create the company, and then we'll be moving to define the company code, and we'll be assigning to each other. So right now we'll be looking after how we can create it. You can see over here the enterprise structure option is there. We have to go to this particular, and we have to expand this tab, and you can see in this definition and assignment is there. Definition is with which we define or create the organizational unit. You can again expand the tab over here, and you can see there is a financial accounting. Expanding the tab over here, you can see there is a defined company code, then added company code. So we will first be defining the company. So clicking on this watch symbol, it will open up. You can see over here the screen is displayed. There are huge number of company, that is the group company is already defined by SAP, as can be seen. So we'll be looking after that what we will be creating right now. So you can see many of the codes are already created, so you have to look after which code you can use now for creating yours, because you cannot use a duplicate codes. Duplicacy is not allowed. So let's take up with what code we can take up is, suppose we take up 1200 out of this, because 1200 is not there in the screen. So we'll be creating your company, that is the group company, with the code 1200. Now you can go to new entries. We have to fill up the company a 4-character code. The maximum could be a 6-character code in the company part, but we'll be taking a 4-character, or you can have a 6-character as well. So I am filling up a 6-character code over here, and this can be given as a group name, like I can give up over here is IBM group. Now we will fill over here the streets and all the other details of addresses of the group. So you can take up the details over here, and you can fill it over here, like suppose 2020. The city could be, and the country over here you can have this particular tab. Click on this, and it will give you the selection options for the countries, and you can select your own country over here. You can see United States is there. Double click on this United States, will get it selected. Language, you can again select over here, and you can find your own language over here. You can see that there are different number of languages over here. You can have your recipe configured on these different languages. So we'll be going up with the English language. then we'll be selecting the currency. So over here to take care that if your group is this and your country over here means the local country, your currency means the local currency of the particular country, you can again see your currency over here. So for American dollar we have to look for USD. USD is there, you can select the USD. So we have selected all those things. Post box or postal code also you can fill it. Suppose for example I fill it 10000, and now you can save this option over here, and this will create your group company. So this asks you for a request. That is what I was talking about. To move the customization or configurations for one client to another, you need this request number. So you can create the request number from over here. Like suppose I rename it as FICO configurations, and now you can click over as a save option, and this will give you a new code, new request number for all your settings which you are doing over here will be saved in this particular request, customizing request. Click over here as continue. So you can see the message generated is data was saved, and this is an important message. If you don't get this message, that means your customization is not done yet, is not been saved, means not successful. So going back with this tab, you can go back again. Now we have defined the company. Now we need to define the company code. So the company we defined is 121234. So this is your company, means the group company defined. Now we will be defining the company code. So I would be taking the company code as 1200, and then later on you can create your own company code further as 1300 and 1400, as much as you want to, or you can have even one company code as well working it. So it's up to you how much entities you want to take it with you in the system, and accordingly you can customize. So we'll be going to define the company code. Now clicking over here will give you the next screen. Now over here to double click on the edit company code data. These are the different company codes which are already defined in the system. Now we will be going for 1200. So you can see that there is no 1200 code already defined, so we can use the code 1200 over here. So we'll go back to this. Now we'll click on the new entries. Now you can define your company code. A company code is basically a 4-character alphanumeric code. So you can have 1200, or if you want you can have a different code like IBM as well. So it's up to you, whichever you want. I would be going for a numeric code because a numeric code is what is preferred. So naming it as IBM LLC. Now again you can fill the address over here, like I fill it as Texas. Then the country, as we can have checked, US. The currency could be USD. Now in case you have any doubt, you can check over here with this particular symbol, or you can click on F4 on your keyboard, and if you click on F4 it will give you the list of countries in which you can select. So you can see there is a US, United States. In the same way you can check for your currency as well. Again F4 on your keyboard. So you can check over here as American dollar as USD and select that. For language you can go with this or F4 in the keyboard. This will show you your language preferred is English now. So we'll select English over here. Now we can save this. Now as already said, a company code is basically a legal entity. So these are not only the details would be needing. When you save it, it will come up with a new pop-up to fill further details. So is your legal entity a company or a doctor or a Mr. or Mrs. or what? Or you can put up a blank as well. So if it is a company, we'll select company. Now we can name it as IBM LLC You can have a search term for this as well, as like IBM. You can fill the address over here. Address is optional, but you can see this tick mark over here in the country. This is a mandatory. Wherever you will feel that a field has been ticked, it means it is a mandatory field. You need to fill that. It's a must. So suppose I fill it over here as like 2020. This is, now the city could be Texas. The country, I can go for selection options. United States. Now we can go to the region, and again you can click on the F4 in the keyboard, and you can see what are the options. Cities, it gives you as an option. So you can see these are the different options where Texas is also there in it. So you can select on Texas, and the region has been taken up over here. Apart from this, these are the below details which you need to fill if you want. Otherwise you can skip this detail as well. So you can select the telephone number, you can fill the mobile number, fax, email ID, and all other things. If you don't want, you can go to the enter in this tick, green tick over here. That will take you to the next. Means the details have been filled, means the company code has been created, but you need to save whatever you have created. So we'll go for continuing it. Now you can see the data was saved, means your company code has been created. So you have created your legal entity in the SAP system. You can see that IBM LLC is there in it. Now we will go back again. Now the next step over here is we have defined the company, we have defined the company code. Now we need to assign the company with the company code. So we'll go again, we'll close this particular tab from over here. Now you can see the definition. So you need to collapse this definition part, and you need to go to the assignment to assign one organizational unit to the another. So we'll expand this, then again we'll be expanding the financial accounting, and you can see over here assign company code to company. So now executing this. Now in this I have to search my company. So there are two options. You can go to position. If you remember your company code, mine was just we created is 1200. So you can enter, it will search it over there. So you can see the 1200, the city was Texas. You can select your company, that is the group company. If you don't remember, you can go for this selection options, and you can search out over here. Like what we created was, it was 12 4 times 0 IBM group. So we can double click on this, and that has been selected over here. So once this has been assigned to each other, you can save. That means the link has been set between the company code and the company. Now next we have to move to define the define the business area. So now we will be moving up to the business area, going back. To again define, we need to go to the definition. In this, now we can click on the business area, execute. Now in this you can define your own business areas, whatever you want to. They are different, which has been created by people over here and not been named even. So if you want, you can use this which has already been created, or you can create of your own as well. For example, suppose I create one two 1210 as product 1, 1220 as product 2. So suppose I have got different product lines, I can have those different product lines as a business area can be created. In the same way, you can create 1230 as product 3. So as many product lines you have, you can create that much of business areas so as to have separate product line wise financial statements or any external reports. You can save this, so your business areas will be created, and this has been saved in the customizing request number that is reflecting over here. Continue. So going back, your business area is defined, but as I already said, you cannot assign your business area to the company code. A business area is a client dependent. That means it can be used among all the legal entities which are there in this client. Next, we'll be defining the credit control area. So the credit control area is here. We can execute. Now we can define our own with the help of new entries. So in this, we have to fill a 4 character alphanumeric code. Now suppose I put up again is 1200. Why? Because I always want my company code to be taken up the same code with the others, so as not to get confused with too many codes. Currency USD. You don't need to fill this particular part because this is for sales and distribution module. Now coming up next, risk categories, again you don't have to take it. This has been defined with the help of credit management, which is a different module. What you have to do over here is just to define the credit limit for the customers. So the limit which you define over here, suppose I put it over here as 1 million. That can be taken up over here as a tolerance for the customers has been defined. Now I can save this. So the tolerance for the customers have been defined as 1 million. If you want to increase it, you can increase it over here. If you want to reduce, you can reduce it as well. Now after it, we can save it over here. Data was saved, means your tolerance, your credit control area has been defined. Now you need to assign the credit control area to the company code. So moving up, we have not the description need to be filled for the credit control area, so we always have to put it over here. Suppose my company code is 1200, so I put it as 1200, and now we'll be saving it. Again going back, now I need to assign it to the company code, so I have to go to the assignment. So collapsing the definition and then going to the assignment, expanding the financial accounting, and then assigning company code to the credit control area. So execute, and in this you can search your company code with the position. Your company code is 1200, enter. Now over here you can define your credit control area which you just created. If you don't remember, you can press the F4 button on your keyboard, and the list of all the credit control area will be reflected, in which you can search your own, and you can double click on that and it will be selected over here. Now once this has been done, you can save it, and your linkage between the credit control area and the company code is defined. So as of now, we have completed with the enterprise structure setting. We defined the company as 12444 times 0. Then we created the company code as 1200. We assigned the company with the company code. Then we defined the business area for the 3 different product lines. Then we defined the credit control area as well as 1200. And we assign the credit control area to the company code. So we covered with the enterprise structure setting. Now moving up next is the financial accounting global setting, which we'll be taking up next. In this we'll be defining first is the fiscal year variant. So moving up next, now we are over with the enterprise structure, so we'll go back, we'll close this assignment tab, We'll be over with the enterprise structure, so collapse this. Now we'll be started working in financial accounting. So we'll go to the financial accounting new. Now expanding this, you will get the financial accounting global setting. Expand. In this you can see the ledgers. Expanding ledgers will reflect you the fiscal year and the posting periods. Now expanding the fiscal year and the posting period will give you maintain fiscal year variant. So executing this part, you can see there are a list of fiscal year variants already defined, but from the SAP stand view, SAP provides you three different standard financial statement versions. Fiscal year variant, sorry. These are by default standard, and whenever we do any customization for any of the client, we use these if the fiscal year is same as over here. So suppose I take the standard V3, we can copy it over here, like this is selected. Now after selection you can go to this copy as, and you can copy this, and we can rename this. We have to put a 2-character alphanumeric code over here for our own fiscal year variant. Like I can put it as IB, or maybe I can put YY. It's up to you as you want to give it the name. So this is it. Now you can means it has been copied from V3 to YY. Now there is no option of saving over here. So what you can do is you can enter at once. Once you enter, you can see a new pop-up screen is coming up. In this you have to select the copy all. With copy all, it will copy all the settings which V3 has at the background. So once I will click on the copy, you can see how many things have been copied. There are 460 dependent entries which have been copied from the background. So that is why I say that you cannot create your own fiscal year variant. You always have to copy it. If you want to create of your own, in that case you need to be an expert in that, so which you can do later on with a couple of years of experience. So right now we just created for you a fiscal year variant. Now you can save this, continue, means your fiscal year variant has been created. Now going back, you need to assign this fiscal year variant to your company code. So just very next to it is the assign company code to a fiscal year variant. So I will be executing this. Now in this I can search my company code over here, or you can search it with the position as well. Enter. Now you can see 1200. The fiscal year variant is blank. Now just right now what we created is YY, or you can search with the selection options. In that you can see that we created YY, and that has been taken up. Now again there is no save option, so always you have to enter once you don't find the save option available with you. Entered. You can see it asks for the company code. The company code was 1200. Enter, and now it has been assigned to this, and now you can save, and the settings will be saved. The customization will be saved in the request. So your fiscal year variant is done. Now moving up next to the posting period. As already said, posting period is that with which all your business transactions are posted. So in this we will be seeing how this is done. First again over here you have to define the variant for the posting period. Executing. We can go to the new entries. I will take the same code as of the company code, that is 1200, and I can take posting period variant as, and put the code ahead of that so as to remember that this is with the company code 1200, and save it. It's very simple. Now back, assign the variant to the company code. The variant we just created 1200 will be assigned to the company code. So my company code over here is 1200, or you can search with the position 1200. You can see the company code is there, the variant is here. The variant we created was also 1200, so you can directly put it over here and you can save it, or if you don't remember, you can search it with the F4 option on your keyboard with the function key F4. Save it. So once you save, it has been saved in the request. Now, as we can see in the PowerPoint presentation file, the fiscal year variant has been created. The posting period variant we just created, but the one step is left in that is the open and the close posting period. So going back, we'll be going to the option of open and close posting period, executing this. Now in this part, there's a thing called account type, which you must know. Over here you can see that A, D, K, M, S are 5 different account types which are used in SAP, and all your business transactions will be dependent on these 5 account type, where A refers to assets. All transactions, business transactions related to assets are with the account type A. D refers to customer, K refers to vendor, M refers to material, and S refers to ledger accounts. So these are the 5 different account key, and to restrict their postings or to allow their postings, you have to customize the settings over here. So what we'll be doing is we'll be taking up A, D, K, M, S. We have selected these 5 fields, and with that you have to take always is the plus option. Plus means for all. So we'll be taking up that as well. So once you take the 6 options, you have to go to the copy option, or you can go to the new entries. In that case, you have to fill everything everything one by one, else you can copy that. So we'll be just copying as. Now once you copied, you can fill your own variant. So we just created the posting period variant, that is 1200. If you don't remember, you can go to the F4 key, function key F4, and it will show you the screen that 1200 was the posting period variant we just created. That is it. So I selected this 1200. The same thing will be taken up in all the others because I am creating my own posting period variant. So all has been renamed as 1200. Now, and plus is for all, A for assets, D for customers, K for vendors, M for material, and S for ledger accounts. This Z means for all the assets, applicable for all the customers, vendors, materials, and ledgers. Now posting period 1 and posting period 2. Posting period 1 is for normal periods, that is 12 normal period, and posting period 2 is for the special period. So we'll not be taking up the posting special periods because for that there is a need of a technical consultant. Then only that particular special periods can be customized. Now we'll be taking up only the normal period. Now as example, we are in the fiscal year 2014. So we need this particular year refers to the fiscal year, so we'll be changing it to 2014. In this side as well, we'll be changing it to 14. So we are in the fiscal year 14, and the period is 1 to 12. That means April 2014 till March 2015. Now if I want my postings to be open or should be allowed only in the month of October, as we are in the October month, in that case you need to change this period from 1 to 7. As you can see, from April onwards, October is the 7th period, so we defined as at 7. On the 2 side, if you want to restrict future periods like November, December, January, February, and March, you can Again remove this and you can put it over here 7, so that only the October month is allowed for the posting of transactions. If I take this, that means only the October month is allowed for posting. And if I want my previous month also to be taken up, like September should be also allowed, so in that case you need to change it as 6. From April, May, June, July, August, September is the 6th period, 6th month, so you have to take up as 6. That means 6th and 7th period is allowed only for the postings. So that is how you can customize your open and close periods, and accordingly you can control the things. Now, why there is a need of this open and close period? Because we file quarterly returns. We take up quarterly financial statements for various legal requirements. So if you don't restrict those periods, any of the employees or the users may by mistake post any entries in the past period that will create a problem for the company. So that is why, as a disciplinary part, it's better to put restrictions on that. And on the other side, if you put restrictions, the employee will be taking up their work on time and completing it on time, their business transactions. So that is why we do that. Now you can see the save option is on the gray part, so you have to enter. Once you enter, the entries have been copied, and now the save option is there, so you can save it. So as we can see, we have defined the posting period variant, we have assigned the posting period variant to the company code, and we have open and closed posting periods. So once this has been done, we'll be moving to the next, that is the field status variant. Going back, closing the tab, closing or collapsing this part, we'll be going to the fields now. For field status variant, in this we can see that there is a field status variant option over here. We can execute this. Now in this, you can see by default there is a 0001. Wherever you find any code with 0001, that is by standard SAP provided. So you can take that, you can copy that, because you cannot create your own field status variant. You always have to copy the standard provided by the SAP itself. So I selected this, and now we'll go to copy it, copy as, and I will put over here as my code as 1200, so as not to get confused. Now again there is a gray save option, so we'll enter the keyboard, and now there is an option of copy all, so copy all, and you can see there are 41 different field status groups copied in it. Okay, now this is the 1200 which has been created by us. I can select this from over here, you can select from over here, and you can double click on the field status group over here on the screen. Double click will show you what has been copied at the back of it. These are the different field status groups which have been copied, as said by just a couple of minutes back, that so the field status group has been created, and now you can save the option so as to save the fiscal year variant as created. So the customization has been saved to the request. Now we have created the fiscal year field status variant. We'll go back to the tolerance part now. Now we have to maintain the tolerance for the users, so for that we have to collapse the field, collapse the ledgers, and we will move to document. in the document you can see that there is a tolerance group. Now over here we will be defining the tolerance group for the employees. You can explore, execute it, and you can see there are a number of already tolerance created, but for our company code we have to create a new entries in which I will not be creating a group, but I will be creating for the whole entire company code, putting the company code over here. Now you need to fix the maximum amount per document and user can post. So in this case we always put a maximum limit so that it doesn't create any problem for the future to the business, because every user can post any number of documents of any amount. Then the amount per open item means per vendor or customer line item limit can be set, and this also we normally fix it up on the higher side so that we don't have to restrict it to the user to user. But however, if you want, you can restrict user to user. In that case you can create a group over here and you can put that limit over here, and that limit could be later on assigned to the user ID. So we can put the cash discount limit per line item as well over here. Suppose I put it as 10%, that means that the maximum discount which you can give is 10% to the user per line item. 10% maximum cash discount can be provided on a business transaction. Now moving to the next is the payment differences. Now in payment differences, suppose I put 100 over here and I put a max difference. Payment difference means that you can make a payment of up $100 and on the downside $100. So either you can put the amount limit as for the payment difference on the upside or the lower side, or you can put the percentage. Suppose I put a 10% over here, or you can put both of them. Now if in case you put both of them, in that case the system will take whichever of these two are lower. For example, there is an invoice of rupees 1000 suppose, and now you have to make the payment. In that case you can make a payment of with a payment difference of maximum $100 or 10% of the invoice, that is again 100. So the maximum differences could be $100. That means you can make a payment of up to 900 or 1100. But in case the invoice was supposed to be of $5,000, in that case the discount comes out to be around 5,000. 10% is equal to $500. In that case the maximum payment differences which you can have is again $100, because 100 or 500 whichever is lower has to be taken. So 100 is on the lower side, that means a lower of a difference can be allowed is of $100. So you can create this tolerance over here as you wish, and then you can save this option over here and your tolerance can be created for the users. Once the tolerance has been created, you can assign. Right now I have not created any group, but in case you create any group, then in that case you have to assign this group to the particular user ID. Just like in the very next step, going back, assigning user to the tolerance group, executing over here. Now over here you can see that the user ID has been taken up over here as BC_RFC. Now this particular tolerance of 1000 tolerance group has been created. In the same way you can create your own tolerance group and you can assign that tolerance group to that particular username, and in that case those restrictions of maximum amount per document or maximum cash discount, these things will become applicable on that particular user name. For right now I am not taking any user name or tolerance group because I have not created it. You can try that at your when you will be practicing it. So that is what the tolerance is all about, and that is what is all covered for today's topic. Please practice it and go through it well. It's simple and understandable. Thank you so much.